Looking at conference and division odds, the Jets 7-1 to win the AFC. Woo! Behind only the Chiefs, who are 3.5-1. The Bills 4.5-1. The Bengals 5.5-1, and ahead of the Chargers and Jaguars at 11-1 and 13-1, respectively.
Yeah, I still don't love the Jets. That's one I wouldn't touch. I might touch the Aaron Rodgers MVP, sprinkle a little there. But when you talk about, I mean, look, the Bengals played the Jets last season, and they were just way better. I mean, it wasn't even close. I think the final score is 27-12, and it was just a domination. And yes, you put Rodgers in there, I think it's a closer game. But then you're talking about beating Josh Allen. You're talking about beating Patrick Mahomes. There's just so many good teams in the AFC that I think if you're a Jets fan, you're happy if he gets you to the playoffs. Again, you've been there for 12 years. Obviously, AFC Championship, Super Bowl, those are the expectations that come when you include this kind of compensation to acquire a quarterback. But for a team that has not been to the playoffs in over a decade, I think getting to the playoffs would be a huge step forward. And if you get to the playoffs, I think that would make Rodgers more likely to return in 2024. So I don't think I would touch the Jets winning the AFC, but I'm definitely on board with a little bit on the MVP.
Want nothing to do with the Jets to win the AFC at 7-1. I think if they get to the playoffs, they're likely to be a wild card, more than likely to be a wild card, versus a 1 or 2 seed. Now, it could be possible that which means that you're talking about a situation where the Jets are, I don't know, like 4-1 to win the AFC at that point. Like, I'd rather just wait and see how the season plays out and then bet them there, because you're still gonna have to go through a wild card team possibly, and the friggin' Chiefs and Bills and maybe Bengals. Like, there's a lot of obstacles in your way. Not to leap ahead of you, Billy, I know you just got that up there, but we can go ahead and throw up the AFC East odds if we want. And I should mention that the Jets to make the playoffs odds, what would you guess the Jets to make the playoffs, yes or no? The odds on that are, Breech?
I would say the yes is -175.
-150. I think that's kind of cheap. I like that.
Yeah,
I would much rather bet that. I would much rather lay the 150, -150. And I think that number will get up to 175 or so, than to bet the Jets at 7-1 to win the AFC. I think that number is just a little bit long.
Well, and see, the thing though is that when you're betting the Jets will make it, which playoff team do you think is going to be the one dropping out? At whose expense? Is it the Dolphins? Is it the Ravens?
Dolphins is an easy one. You see that? Yeah, Jets -150. By the way, the Packers, nice shot, Billy. Packers +170 to make the playoffs, -200 to miss the playoffs. I would point out right now that it would be lovely if these were in perhaps a more unified order. When we're looking these up, just throwing that out there, because I can't find a division winner. Oh, division winner, the Jets 2-1. The Bills, oh my God, the Bills +135 to win the division. I had to look up Super Bowl odds to find it because they list them all out there. But the Bills +135 to win the division. The Jets 2-1 to win the division. The Dolphins +320, and the Patriots 10-1 to win the division. Man, I think the Jets at 2-1 is a little short there. Nice job, Billy, as well. Got it up on the YouTube, youtube.com/NFL and CBS or /pick6. I think the Bills are a very easy bet at +135 to win this division. The way people are writing the Bills off and jumping on the hype train that is the Jets and sort of the Dolphins too, after a successful first year with Mike McDaniel, to me, just really, really reminds me of what we saw from the AFC West last year. I think the Bills to win the AFC East at plus money is the easiest bet on the board. The Jets could steal it, sure, but 2-1, a little short for me there.
Yeah, and the other part is that this has the Jets have been kind of floating around that number since the Aaron Rodgers trade happened. I know we were talking about it in late March. I think they were at +225 or 250. So the odds didn't change much because the odds makers had already kind of baked that in. Aaron Rodgers was going to be playing for the Jets. So here we are now. If anything, if you were thinking about betting Buffalo, because now you get a slightly better number. If you were thinking about betting the Dolphins, chance to make slightly more money because their number got a little bit worse. So I think those are the people who benefit the most, the people who still like the Bills or still like the Dolphins. But man, the Jets at +200, I'm not sure. I'd stay away from that too. I like your idea. Stick with, will they make the playoffs? because it feels like there's a good chance, but I don't feel good about them winning the entire conference, and I don't feel good about them winning the AFC East, even with Aaron Rodgers. So I would stick with getting to the playoffs.
Yeah. Jets to make the playoffs -150, Bills to win the division +135. You got a pretty decently sized window where you can hit both of those. And if you, like, let's say you put 2 units on the Jets to win the division, or excuse me, to make the playoffs. So you're risking what? Risking 3 to win 2, and the Bills to win the division, risking 1.5 to win, like, to 3. Actually, I can't. I'm doing the math terribly. But the point being is, like, you can set it up where you can shoot the gap there pretty easily because you got 3 wildcard teams. And if the Jets win the division, they would still wipe out, it would still take care. You want to set it up where it would take care of your loss on the Bills winning the division, and you would still profit a little bit. Obviously, if the Dolphins win the division and the Jets miss the playoffs, you banged, or the Patriots are really good. Like, you can lose both. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I think that's a nice way to set it up where you've got a pretty good shot at shooting the middle and hitting both of those.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to think about that we're having a realistic conversation about the Jets making the playoffs. I mean, this is a team, if you're a Jets fan, you sat through Josh McCown, Luke Falk, Trevor Siemian started a game at some point in the past few years. You went through the Ryan Fitzpatrick era. You were riding the old Sanchez with Mark Sanchez.
The butt fumble.
The Bud fumble. Sanchez, though, the last quarterback to take them to the playoffs. And then obviously you've had some draft whiffs with Sam Darnold, with Zach Wilson, who now is going to be riding the bench behind, I guess, the only guy he's willing to ride the bench behind and be cool with it. But that's another thing the Jets will have to consider is, what do you do with Zach Wilson? So this is just a whole fascinating thing for everyone. But if you're a Jets fan, the fact that you're being mentioned in the same sentence as the word playoffs, that enough has to throw you about this trade.